Good morning. Welcome to our latest podcast. I'm Polly Hill on behalf of FSGB, Fleet Service GB, and I'm delighted to welcome Neil Berry, who is the most recently appointed CEO of the Health Transportation Group, HTG. Neil, brilliant to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Can you tell me a little bit about HTG, first of all, the organisation and what you do, what the role is?
Yeah, of course. So HTG, we operate non-emergency ambulances on behalf of the NHS. We've got large contracts around the country. But our driver's main role is to take those patients in at hospital for their appointments, pick them up at the end of their time in hospital. So they may have been in hospital for a number of weeks. And we operate a large amount of renal dialysis. So patients who are in hospital 3 times a week, we will take them in and out for their appointments. So really important that our staff are familiar with them and care for them.
And how many drivers and vehicles are we talking about here?
So we have around 850 drivers and vehicles 386.
Right, so quite a significant number. And when you first started looking after the fleet, what made you interested in, or what stood out for you about FSGB in particular?
Yeah, so I started looking after the fleet in late 2020. At the time, we had
COVID.
COVID. So started in the company in the middle of COVID too. And anyone who worked in the NHS at that time, it was a difficult period. But we had a very aged fleet at the time. So what I discovered was we had a lot of fleets that had been extended throughout contracts. So we contract with the NHS for maybe 5-7 years. But once we hit COVID, what was happening was these contracts were being extended, but for short periods, which means that the fleet was just becoming older and older. And that's obviously problematic. We were spending a considerable amount of money every single month on repair and maintenance. And we met with our previous provider and looked at ways that we could make improvements. To be honest, there wasn't really a lot that could be done, but I wanted someone who could help us to be more forward thinking. So someone who could look at our fleet and say, well, if we do it differently, maybe at the outset, even if not with the existing fleet, we do it differently at the outset, we can make that fleet last longer. We can get longevity out of it. We can get a bigger return on investment. And that was really key for me. So we started looking at alternatives in the market. We were recommended FSGB. We met with them. It was probably about a 6-month process for us to finally make that decision because they were very different to how we had operated in the past. But yeah, we made the choice to make the move and been very good since.
And what made FSGB stand out, looking at various competitors?
I think it was the level of data insight to start with, the understanding that our fleet is costing us money because of driver influence costs, but also because of the types of vehicles we were buying and how we were servicing them and how we were maintaining them, and getting somebody to support us with that more holistic view of how you manage your fleet so that we get the best out of it. So what's quite different about us and probably every other company that FSGB work with is we convert our vehicles from standard vans to ambulances. That cost of the conversion is over double the cost of the whole vehicle. So we can't just get to the end of a 5-year period and refresh the fleet.
So they've got to live longer. They've got to last
have
longer.
to.
Yeah.
They have to. And also the other thing that we do, which is fairly unusual, is we don't have a dedicated driver to a van. So our vehicle could be driven by 5 to 10 different people in any week. So having a company that could support us to identify who's driving, what are the issues when that person's driving, are there ways that we can make improvements on individuals, how can we get more life out of the vehicles? So it's a real holistic view of fleet management. That's what attracts us.
I assume then that the Achieve Driver app has been really important to you in understanding that when you're shifting between different drivers for each vehicle.
Absolutely. Yeah, so the Achieve app has helped us dramatically. So from a compliance point of view in particular. So we initially started with the daily vehicle check app. So that was done through photographs, and we moved from a paper-based format where we were finding defects on vehicles up to 6 months later. And what that was happening then is that a small minor issue where a driver wasn't reporting it properly, maybe an amber warning light was turning into an engine failure and replacing an entire engine. There's nowhere to hide anymore. So having that daily vehicle check done via an app with instant messaging to our fleet management team, instantly to the local managers, so we can fix those defects, maybe take them off the road, whatever's needed, has really helped on that compliance.
And the software hub, the Achieve software hub, so where you're seeing all that data, how have you found using that? Has it been fairly intuitive and easy to understand? And have you been supported by the team in that?
Yeah, it has been. It probably took us a little while. It wasn't something that just happened overnight. It took a lot of hard work from our team, plus support from FSGB to start to get that integrated into our business. What we now have is clear visibility of who our top performing drivers are and our lowest performing drivers are. And where we've moved to now is the ability to take those people that need extra support and extra development in their driving skills. We've been able to put them through extra tuition through FSGB as well. So they've helped us organize that. And we have it on a rolling basis now where we can. So we're not taking punitive action against our drivers. We're helping them develop their skills, which I think is probably fair for all of us.
Absolutely, and I'm getting to for those people, it's their well-being as well, isn't it? So better understanding, better informed,
Absolutely.
better drivers.
I think in most professions, we look at continuous professional development. Why wouldn't we do it with drivers? It's the same thing. So, yeah, it's been a really, really useful tool for us to identify who we need to target, and we don't just stop there. It's not that we just pick those that require it. If someone wants additional support, it's there for them, and whether that be through the e-learning or through someone coming in and taking them off on the road
Yeah.
and giving them extra support.
I'm aware at FSGB have a real focus on making service personal. Have you felt that? Have you felt very much cared for?
We have the team that we were introduced to at the outset in 2021 is the same team we're working with 4 years later, which is incredible. So from a retention point of view, hats off to FSGB for keeping some really top people, but also it's been really refreshing that we've not been passed on to anybody else. So we're dealing with some really senior people who make decisions, they're proactive, and they're industry experts. It's made a huge difference.
Do you know, I overheard our chairman speaking to you the other day,
Yeah.
and his quote would be that he's delighted to hear that his team are preaching his philosophy. So that's straight from the words of a legend.
Absolutely.
So FSGB are always looking to innovate. I know that they definitely pride themselves on constant updates to the software, so that there's always improvements in both usability and also in the sophistication of the data and what we can pull together. What do you think of things like manager-led dashboards, enhanced telematics, and how's that going to support your plans at HTG going forward?
I think the manager-led dashboard will be very good for us. So having the ability for our managers to have instant access to reports and data that they need at each level in the organization is going to be quite key. So from our station managers to our head of operations and our operations directors, and also our fleet team to be able to just see what they need to see, whether that on a daily basis, weekly basis, whatever it might be, at their fingertips. It'll make them more efficient. It'll ensure that we can make change positively, much, much quicker. And, I think one of the hardest parts of our station manager's role is keeping on top of their fleet. Our managers have a big fleet to manage. They have lots of staff to manage. So actually taking all of that away from them and just allowing them to look at it on their screen, see from a really easy, manageable way that these are what they need to work on today. This is what the primary focus is. It takes a lot of effort out of it.
Takes away that white noise, doesn't it? It just focuses the mind. Absolutely. Could someone do that for me, please? I've got 75 tabs open on my laptop. Just going back to the drivers then, when you're talking about vehicle checks, for example, compliance-wise, what kind of statistics are you looking at there now for compliance, and what was it before?
Really hard to know what it was before, if I'm honest, when we were paper-based, and that's one of our problems, or was one of our problems. We couldn't truly say we had clear audits of our vehicle safety, and that's been a huge change for us. So we now, on a weekly basis, we're reporting most of our stations at 100% compliance of daily vehicle checks. And we've also introduced vehicle checks at the end of the day as well, which we hadn't for a while. Introducing the video technology has really helped with that because it's made it so much faster and so much quicker, and it's really seamless. So the staff, they just run around the vehicle with the camera at the beginning and the end of their shift, and then if there's something on there, they just go through the process of reporting that. That means we can instantly see the safety of our vehicles across the fleet, and if we need to VOR something, we will. If we need to get it booked in to have a repair, we will, and we can manage our costs. And that's, for me personally, that's incredibly important because we lacked visibility of costs previously. We had fleets that would be of different standards across different patches of the country. Now we have consistently standard fleet everywhere that is maintained to the same level across the entire of our business. And just having that ability to be able to give the managers a tool to manage effectively, quickly, smartly, without them having to worry about it and potentially have sleepless nights is really key for us.
Health and safety, all of your legal requirements
Absolutely.
taken care of, partly due to
Absolutely.
FSGB and the partnership you have together, which I know they value very highly as well. What advice would you give to other fleet operators who might be considering a solution like FSGB?
Ooh, I think talk to them. One thing I've found over the last 4 years is you get an honest answer. Sometimes it's not always what we want to hear, because certainly for myself, when you get reports and you have conversations about additional costs, it's not always what you want. But I like the honesty of that. It helps you plan, it helps you forecast, it helps you see into the future what your expectations on your fleet are. So I'd recommend talking to them. It's enlightening. And if you were like us, where we had quite a archaic method of managing our fleet, I think there's a lot out there that people benefit from.
Do you feel, cost-wise, that it's on balance worked out in your favour? I know you say you saved money on maintenance costs, for example, from perhaps better driver awareness.
I think it's really hard to tell, if I'm honest. I think we know that following COVID, we had parts and labour has gone up exponentially. So it's really hard to tell whether or not our cost base has shrunk due to a lot of the work that we've been doing. But my gut feel is it has, because we just have better control over our fleet. We have better control on our repair and maintenance. And what I really like is the national price promise that FSGB certainly endeavour to instill. So we operate contracts, for instance, in Cornwall. We operate contracts in Norfolk. It's completely different ends of the country, 300 miles between the two of them, but we're paying pretty much the same price, whether it's in Cornwall or Norfolk. We had nowhere near that level of control and scrutiny before. So let's say there's too many intangibles to truly pinpoint, but ultimately we know we've got better cost control than we've ever had before.
So the price promise, the national price promise which you refer to, that's through their approved garage network, I
That's
believe.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the flexibility to add into that as well. So when we first started the contract for FSGB, there were certain garages that weren't on their network that we wanted to continue to use. So they went off and made the arrangements, and they set them up. And equally, when we start new contracts, so we are continuously looking to grow our business. We're tendering for new work. We're starting a new contract 1st of April next year in Suffolk and North East Essex. That will mean a completely new garage network for us. Now, I'm sure if FSGB have some presence there already, that will help. But they also send their team out to find garages, work with garages, find the best deals for us and the most responsive, because it's not always about the cheapest for us. It's about the most responsive. It's about getting the vehicle back on the road. So they do that just as part of their work. There's never been an extra cost, and it works for us.
I'm sure they'll be delighted to hear that as well. That's great feedback. Thank you. So this is a really cruel question, because I'm going to put you right on the spot. If you had to sum up FSGB's value to your business in one sentence, what might you say?
I think it's a proactive partner that has our best interests at heart, and that's rare.
Fantastic. I love it. Thank you so much. I know that you are actually recording a podcast again next week. Can you tell me a little bit about that? I'm really happy to. I'd love to listen to it.
I'm sure no one else will. Yeah, so next week's podcast is a little bit different. It's about me, probably my favorite topic. It's about my career and where how I've started and where I've ended up. So I've got quite an unusual career path. So I'm from South Wales. I've got a very working class background. My mum and dad worked really hard to ensure that myself and my brother were always well fed, looked after, clothed, taken on holidays and so on. But the key thing my dad always said to us was he worked excessively long hours so that myself and my brother could stay in school. We didn't have to work, and we could get a degree, and we could get opportunities that he never had. And that stuck with me throughout my life. And I think it's one of the things that has kind of pushed me to get to the place where I am. So I was approached about, I don't know, 2-3 months ago when I was first promoted to chief exec by someone I used to work with to appear on their podcast to talk about my career path and how I've gone from state school in South Wales, where most people probably still are there, and to have moved away from that, to have gone to university, studied law, qualified as a solicitor, went to employment law, then went to HR, then went to procurement, then went back to HR, then went to operations, looking after quality teams, heavily into the finance teams, and now to a chief exec. So a really unusual career path. There's not many people out there that become chief exec from HR background. So something I'm quite proud of.
And so you should be. And actually at such a young age as well. So absolutely incredible career journey. I'll be listening out for that one. Thank you so much. And it's been a pleasure to talk to you today.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.